Alright, hey everybody, what is up and welcome back to my channel. For those who might be new here, my name is Evan Andrews and here on my channel we are talking everything creative from filmmaking to photography and even graphic design. So today I'm going to be sitting at the computer and we're going to be going into another topic that we haven't hit too much on, and that is in the realm of graphic design, and we are going to do kind of a step-by-step of how I would create a business card. So business cards are still a popular thing that many business owners have to leave as handouts and contact information. So if you are a business owner out there and you have to create your own business card because you maybe don't have the means to have somebody else do it for you, then watching this tutorial may help you out just a little bit. So before we get started, make sure that you go and like this video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you tune in every Friday for our new releases at 8 a.m. and we will keep coming with some informational stuff here in this creative world. So again, like I said, this video is going to be all about how to set up a business card, and this is going to be from the standpoint of what I believe to be a professional standpoint. This is not going to be a super artistic or gaudy way of putting stuff together. This is going to be a very simple, clean, what I like to call elegant business style of setting up business cards, and just really making it easy for the person that is going to be viewing the card to get the information that they need and kind of understand what it is that you do. So without further ado, we are just going to jump right into the computer here, and I will get started on showing you guys how I would set up a business card. And for today's purposes, we are going to be making a fresh new business card for my video production company, Vandrews Media. Because I already have a logo and I already have some branding in place, it's going to be kind of an easier way than kind of setting all that up from scratch based on what maybe you guys have out there. So we're going to be using that as our test subject today, and we're just going to get started. So we're going to jump into the computer. All right, you guys, so we are now here in the computer, and what I have set up here is I have two artboards inside of Adobe Illustrator. Now, if you're not using Adobe Illustrator, that is okay. You can use other free options out there like canva.com. They have a great way for you to set up anything that you may need, and although I don't particularly like canva.com because I think it kills for things that I could potentially be hired to do for people, if you cannot afford to have somebody else do it for you and you have to do it all yourself, then canva.com is a great way to go out and kind of do it yourself. I'm not getting paid by Canva here. I am just giving you guys some free game on an outlet out there that you can use to create graphic design materials for yourself. So canva.com, go check it out if you're not able to use something like the Adobe Suite or Illustrator or Photoshop to create the graphics that you need to create for your business. So now we're in the computer. The first step and first thing that you really want to think about is kind of this setup that you want to do. Now, like I said, this is going to be a very simple, elegant, and easy setup for what we're going to do. So what you need to understand is how design is kind of done, and you can go back to a few of my past videos, and this goes for video, print, whatever, but we want to talk about the rule of thirds. So just a quick refresher, the rule of thirds is if we were to put the tic-tac-toe board there on the screen, you kind of have intersecting points, and if you can put things in those intersecting points or leave them in the rows or columns of the thirds, then your stuff is going to be pleasing to the eye. So whenever we're doing something, we don't want to have stuff kind of scrambled all over the place. We want to have it set in a particular space for a particular reason. So the first thing that I like to do when setting up my business cards is I like to choose my colors. So I like to have very contrasting sides of my business card. So if one of my sides is going to have color, the other side probably isn't going to have any color. So for example, my business card that I'm going to set up here is I'm going to have it one side fully solid color of the particular blue that I like to use for my business, and then the other side I'm going to have it completely white because those two are part of my branding. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a background on side one here, and let me make sure I'm on the right layer here, and now we're good. Okay, so here I'm just going to create a solid background on side one for myself. So again, I like to do stuff very simple and elegant, and for me, I would just have my logo on one side. I would have all of my informational text on the back, like my name, my phone number, my email, whatever other information you feel like you need, you can put it on the back side. So a very simple and a very elegant way of making your business card is setting your logo right center to the card. And like I said, I'm using the blue and the white for my branding. Now, you don't want to have anything too overbearing, so you don't want to have anything that looks like this. This is kind of too much in your face. What you want to do is you want to have it very fitting to the size of the business card. Now, there are different sizes of business cards. The one I'm doing here is just a standard business card. It's about 3.5 by 2, but there are various size business cards. People do square, people do stuff with rounded corners. It just really depends on where you're getting them printed. So before you get started in making it, understand where you're getting it printed and ask them for a template or download it from their website, whatever you're using. Personally, I use gotprint.com for all of my printing. They are a pretty quick turnaround, and they offer a wide variety of products at a pretty affordable price. So gotprint.com, if you are looking for a place to have your stuff printed, go check them out there. They do flyers, they do brochures, they do all kinds of different things, promotional products, whatever you can think of, they do a whole bunch of stuff. So getting back to our card here, having something about this size here is going to be what I like for my personal taste. Now, what I would say would be kind of my max would be something that looks about like that. I would not go much further than that with the size of the logo, but I'm going to bring it back down to where I like it, and that is about what I like. Now, you may be asking yourself, what are these red lines that you're seeing on the card? And these red lines for me are kind of guidelines that I don't want any of my information, my important stuff like text, images, whatever I'm going to be using, I don't want it to go outside that line in case, for whatever reason, in the trimming process of the card, something doesn't get cut off. So those are there as a guideline, and before I were to save my print file, I would simply just remove them, and that's what you would see. So you're going to see them throughout the whole process of this video, but right now we're going to leave them on so that I can see. So for me, this is how I like to set up my front. I like just my logo on that front side with the color because it just gives a little bit of intrigue for somebody to have to flip over the card. Now, I understand that not all people may be able to afford front and back printing, as it is just a little bit more expensive. In the long run, it's not that much, but if you can't afford front and back printing, what I would do is I would set it up as something like this. I would go and shift my logo over here. I would make it just a little bit smaller as well. And remember, we're keeping in mind the rule of thirds. So with the rule of thirds, I will kind of draw some lines here. And these are not going to be 100%, but what I'm doing is I'm breaking up the lines here. Do yellow to kind of show you where they are. Boom, boom, boom. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting a rough guesstimate of my columns of where I can put information. So as you can see here, I'll move that over just a little bit to kind of flush it out. But we don't want to, for example, have something just kind of floating around like that. Obviously, it's not centered, it looks off, and our eyes can definitely tell that something's wrong there. So, maybe for something like this, down here in the bottom corner would be okay, right? And then, we can go ahead and put in our information. So I'll do this. I will do vandrewsmedia@gmail.com, and then I'll even put my phone number out there because, hey, if you guys need me, you can call me. So I will now tailor the font to the font that I like to use for my branding, and anybody that has watched past videos from me knows that this right here, Avenir Next Condensed Heavy Italic, is my jam. I will change that to a white here. So now you can see that we have text here. So We also want to break this up and make it look more pleasing to our eye, because it all being the same size and thickness, it's a little off-putting. So the biggest thing that we want to stand out is we want our name to stand out. So go with about 21 points there. The Vandrews Media right here, I pretty much like about how big it is. I'm going to bring it down to 11. Yeah, about 11 is okay. And I'm going to change the thickness of the font. I'm going to just go ahead and make it like a demi-bold. Nah, I'm going to go with a medium. And then I like how thick the phone number is, but I want to make that about size 14. Great. And then I want to close some of that gap in the spacing between the letters there. And even some of the space there. All right, so now that we have kind of the placement of the way that we like our text to look, we can play around with it a little bit further here, and the placement of our logo in relation to our text and our font. So I don't really like what I've done here in the bottom corner. I'm gonna go ahead and move that back to the center there. And again, this is for people that are only gonna be printing on one side. I would recommend definitely having, again, the logo on one side and the textual information on the other side, because having the simple logo on one side just provides intrigue to seeing the rest of the information that we know is gonna be on a business card. But for those that are just printing on one side, you can kind of follow for this part. So for here, I mean, I would, because we're center, I would end up centering this out too, and doing something like this, right? And to me, that's pretty good just like that. Now you can get into having additional elements like lines or something within it if you like, but these can kind of get distracting from the overall information and stuff that we want on it. But a cool way that you can add different other elements is, let's say we rewrite align that. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. Drag this back over, and what we can do is we can do something kind of like a divider line, like this. And then just play around with the thickness that we want. So I always like to take off the red lines too while I'm doing it, just to kind of see exactly what it'll kind of look like when it's printed and when it's done. So, you know, something like that is pretty good, and I do like it. So I would go with something as simple as this for a one-sided business card. Simple logo, simple textual information. You could even do, like, let's say you had a tagline. You could do a tagline for your business. And I would probably put it down here, something like that. But again, like I said, you can center the whole thing out, and this still even looks good. Like so. So that's a really good example of having something simple, one-sided, if you can't afford to print double-sided. So to move on and show you how I would do a double-sided business card is I'm going to go back and I'm going to center this here. Kind of get it where I want, get my red lines back here for guide. Now remember that like I said at the beginning, I like to have contrasting sides. So if I'm going to have this dark blue on one side, I'm going to have completely contrasted colors that go with my branding on the other side. And in this case, it's blue and white. So the other side of the card is going to be white. And to further play with that contrast, instead of having just plain black text, which could work and isn't necessarily a terrible option, I'm going to utilize this dark blue color to keep everything consistent with my branding. So if I place this kind of right in the center here, that already is a great looking option for my business card. I'm making it a little bit bigger maybe. And like I said, center it back out. Put my tagline in here if I wanted to. That looks great. But another thing that you can do is you can right align it here, right? And maybe do a tagline over here. Or you can move your tagline up here. And this is also another great option. Now, some of you might have symbols or something in your logo or else that can deal with your branding. And these are other great things that you can do here in this scenario. So let's say, like, I don't know, part of my branding had like this weird diamond theme, or like say I had something that went with my brand, you know, I can put that here in conjunction with the other side of the card with all the text information. I don't really have a preference on what you do with this negative space. Again, negative space helps draw our eyes. If you remember back from my graphic design pillars video, you know, having negative space is going to point us to what we actually want to read, and what we want to read is actually the textual information here on this side of the card. You could use other graphics and other things in here. Let's say you had some sort of like digital looking background, or your let's say you are a groundskeeper, a landscaper, or something like that. You could have some sort of vine looking flower in a pot or something right here. Now, you don't want to go through and, you know, clutter it up with a bunch of different stuff and kind of have that bleed into this, or have this text overlap, because then it kind of gets a little harder to read. But for me, I like very simple, very sleek, and to the point design and setup. So I am going to just leave it like that, center that here. And this, for me, ladies and gentlemen, would be an ideal setup for a business card that I would make for my video production business, Bandrews Media. And as you can see, you might think that, oh, there's nothing wow about this. Oh, there's nothing that's going to make me want to call him. And that's not really what the business card is for. There are ways to manufacture your business card by making, for example, this logo on the front. Maybe it's shiny silver. You know, maybe it has a die cut shape, and it's not exactly maybe it looks like a trapezoid, or it looks like something, you know, different. That's going to kind of grab your attention, but it's all about in the presence of when you're handing the person your business card, how you interact with them is if they're going to really keep you in mind or not. Big fancy graphics and big, you know, fancy lettering and stuff that looks crazy and is hard to read, that's not going to have people come back to you. It's all going to be in about your approach and how they felt when you handed them the card in the first place. So for me, and what I recommend for many of you out there, is keep it simple and do something like this. If you do want to be graphic heavy, you still can be, but like I said, we want to keep that attainable, and the way that we're going to do that is by, I don't know, maybe keeping this out here like that, and then we have kind of a lot of space over here in this area of the card to have, maybe it's a picture of you. Like I said, maybe it's just something that's related to your business, and that's okay. As long as it doesn't bleed too much into the information here and doesn't get distracting, then that is okay. But for me and for you guys, one last time to see, this is how I would set up my business card for my video production business. All right, guys, so there you have it. That is kind of a behind the scenes look of how I would create a business card. Now, you guys might have thought this video was super boring and, there wasn't a lot to that, but that's the whole point of design, is that there's not supposed to be a lot to it. And a lot of people that think the other way around are definitely not designers. Take the tips that I gave you here and make them into your own. Now, the creative part of making your branding is figuring out the fonts that you like, having your logo designed, and then putting them in conjunction in a way on a business card doesn't have to be the hard part about creating it for you. That should be really the easy part. Having fancy backgrounds and having stuff that looks clashing, and people are going to be definitely turned off by that. So keep it super simple, keep it easy, and make a business card that is going to fit with your branding and what you're all about. So if you found some value out of this and you're looking to make your own business card and you have some questions, leave me a comment and I'd be happy to answer. Leave a picture. You guys can send me pictures here to the vandrewsmedia@gmail.com, and I'll give you some feedback if you want. I don't mind doing that for you guys. Again, if you got some value out of this video, make sure that you do go like and subscribe to my channel, and tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. where I will be bringing you more tips and tricks about filmmaking, photography, and even graphic design. So until next Friday, I will see you guys, and you guys be good. So this is peace out.